welcome Nesta Wyn Ellis. Hello, Nesta.
Hello.
How are you?
All right. How are you?
And I'm fine. And you are in Paris at the moment.
I am indeed.
What are you doing there?
Well, I do all my work here, and otherwise, I mean, there is a lifestyle in Paris that doesn't exist in London, and I sort of have that lifestyle, if you like.
Now, what was it like following John Major around and writing that book about him?
Well, I had to keep my eyes glued on everything he was doing and watching telecasts as well as listening to what he said or reading what he said. And, of course, I had a number of private interviews with him. So the interesting part was that I could tell how he was feeling, particularly in the beginning of his time as Prime Minister, just by, the hunch of his shoulders when he got out of the car. So I introduced this tendency of British journalists to sort of start referring to people's body language, because I said, I can tell from his body language how he's feeling.
And did you know that at the time that he was having an affair with...
Well, I had actually stopped, as it turns out,
Right.
that affair with Edwina Currie. So I didn't know about that affair, but I did know there was something going on because, as I think I've written since and probably put in the book, Norma clearly revealed that she was upset about something. And when I said he was gorgeous, when I met her, first of all, in their house in Huntingdonshire before he became Prime Minister, and he left the room to take a call, and she was pouring tea for me, and I said, gosh, where did you find him? He's gorgeous. And the teacups went all over the place.
Oh, no.
And she said, I suppose he's all right. And so I thought, hello. Anyway, there wasn't a good atmosphere between them, and now I know why, because, with hindsight sometimes, I knew at some point that there'd been a letter from Norma Major's solicitor, which for some reason or other the Guardian had got a hold of it, and it had gone to her solicitors or from them to him, and it said that if he didn't stop the affair, that she would divorce him. And, he was the last of, let's be politically incorrect here and say 10 little nigger boys that Margaret Thatcher had lined up as her possible successors, and he was just the last one.
Right.
They'd all got chopped down.
Yeah. And did you have a connection, when you were interviewing him and following him around? Was there something between you two?
Oh, we got on extremely well. There was a great rapport, great chemistry.
Right. Anything more?
And a lot of laughter, because, I don't know, I made a lot of jokes. I made him laugh. And, we had some interviews at Number 10. The press secretary, now very august person, Gus O'Donnell, was there. And both John and Gus were just roaring with laughter all the time at the things I said. So it was fairly riotous kind of interviews.
Yes.
But I got wonderful stuff because, of course, I recorded it all, and I typed the interviews with him myself, and I had about 7 other people working for me typing transcripts of other people, because it had to be done very, very fast, this book.
Yeah. What? And tell me something. Was there anything more than just the chemistry between the two of you?
I don't know what you mean by that question.
No. Was there a quiet moment when the eyes met and maybe?
Oh, the eyes met, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did anything else meet?
I can't tell. I can't tell you that.
Unlike other people who have written about him, they say that he gives the general appearance that he's quite dull. But it's to the contrary of this, isn't it?
Well, yes, I think this was the mask, the grey man. As some wag wrote, the only member of a circus who ran away to become an accountant. Usually the other way round. He was, I think deliberately trying to hide his colourful side, so that my original title for the book was called John Major, the Modest Maverick, because he is a maverick.
Yeah.
And he would suddenly do unpredictable things. And I think the thing is that he had to play it. He's extremely charming in personal contact. But when he was on the stage or doing a speech or something like that, he looked like a Dalek. He was terribly boring. And this was because he was afraid to expose this underbelly of naughty, unpredictable stuff.
Tell me, at the same time, were you running for Parliament at the same time, or was this?
No, I'd done that.
So you'd already done,
and I'd given it up. Yes.
And you weren't associated with the Conservative Party. It was the Liberals, wasn't it?
It was the Liberals, yes, and it was before they sort of officially became the Lib Dems.
Yeah.
I decided to, cut it off around about. I think it was after I stood for the European Parliament in 1979, and I could see that. in some ways, the party and I were going in opposite directions. Well, we certainly were diverging.
Did you have a close relationship with any of the people within the Liberal Party?
Oh yes, I was very close to a lot of people in the Liberal Party, and during the 70s, I was there among the people who were, guiding policy and things, but I was finding it harder and harder to steer them away from what I thought was not really liberal stuff. It was all a bit too politically correct for me.
What was your main reason for choosing the Liberal Party?
Well, initially, I found that they were the only party who really represented my viewpoint, and I didn't feel that, that the Conservatives did, and I didn't feel that Labour did, but I did feel that the Liberal Party had an independence of approach, and also a kind of, the economic policy was extremely important to me, to favour enterprise and overstate activity and this kind of thing. So, in the end, I did make a serious choice. I went, when I was at university, to listen to Harold Wilson, Enoch Powell, and I think a guy who came from the Liberal Party called Emlyn Hooson, and I really thought on the whole that I favoured the Liberal Party. So it may have been that, it started off at my home, where my father was very much a liberal in his personality. I don't think he necessarily always voted for them, but my mother was a rock solid, sort of conservative, and I would have done anything rather than follow her.
Yeah.
So,
how did
sometimes these things influence you, but I looked at all the parties at university. I even looked at the anarchists. I thought that's the one for me, but perhaps I won't join them. So I joined the Liberal Party, which is the next best thing.
How did you find the differences between David Steele as the leader compared to Jeremy Thorpe?
Well, you see, Jeremy was such an inspiring leader. He had such charisma, and he could really, talk the hind leg off a donkey, and he was brilliant in front of a camera. But David Steele was sort of, kind of the sort of guy you take home to your mother. Is a really nice-seeming guy, but a very sharp and sure-footed politician, and just as smart as Jeremy, but though perhaps a little bit more ethical.
And do you think the course of the Liberal Party would have changed if David Owen had have become leader?
Well, David Owen was a difficult man to deal with, I think.
In what way?
I don't think anyone found him easy.
In what way, Nesta? In what way was he difficult to deal with?
Oh, he just thought, everything should be done his way. I think that's the impression I got.
Isn't that the sign of a strong? Isn't that the sign of a strong leader, or not?
You've got to know how to bend.
So really, politically, you were in with all of these politicians from all of the parties, it appears.
Yes.
So were you attracted to that type of life? Or, I know that you're into music now, and obviously you're into producing films that I want to talk about a little bit later. But how did you make the transition from being in politics, then writing about politics, to sweeping over into music and obviously films? Did you become disillusioned with politics? Is that why you decided to become more of a journalist?
Well, I thought that I was wasting my time because I wasn't getting elected.
Right.
And I thought there was a certain amount I could do without being elected, but if I wasn't going to be elected, I might as well really pitch my effort into something else.
You mentioned earlier on about a witch doctor giving you, telling you that you were going to be married. Are you psychic? Do you have a feeling about?
I am psychic, yes, but I didn't know. I just felt that I wanted to. That was my feeling.
Have you had have you ever?
Sorry.
No, that's all right. Have you ever had any psychic experience where you've seen anything at all, or is it purely audible?
Oh, my dear, I have a whole pile of clients who come to see me all the time because I'm so psychic.
Right.
So that's another line of activity which I've been doing for about 30 years.
Right.
And it comes and it goes, but I am a very competent astrologer, and I am a good tarot reader. So I'm really clairvoyant, but, most of the time I try not to be too clairvoyant because it really comes and gets you at about 5 or 6 in the morning. It's not very much pleasure.
Nesta, do you follow these indications about what's going on? Does it affect your own life, and do you follow them?
I do follow them, and I watch the planets assiduously, and I watch the political and economic side of planets, so that I can tell you what kind of an economy a certain country will have over, say, a period of years. I can tell you when it's going to get better and when it's going to stop being better. And I can tell you, I predicted John Major's election as leader of the Conservative Party when we were sitting having our first interview.
Right.
And the thing is, it was just a hunch. You know, we were having this interview, and we were sitting quite close together in a sort of dimly lit room, his study, and it was pouring with rain outside, and we were deep in conversation. And I said to him, I said, do you think, I don't know, what did I say? I asked him, do you think Mrs. Thatcher will stay on, or whatever it was?
Yeah.
And he sort of blushed, you know, and, well, that's enough anyway for a journalist to say, hello, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But I suddenly thought, he's the next Prime Minister. And and I knew he knew it too. It was just one of those in very, very powerful moments where we both knew the truth.
Did you predict that he was going to be overthrown, or did you predict that what would happen to the Conservative Party after the run?
Yes, I did advise him about the election dates after his election as leader, and I suggested that 2 dates in the autumn of 91, and I think he didn't like those because he wanted to go to, it was 91. I guess he didn't want to go and lose the election because he was very concerned to get certain achievements through in the Rome meeting of what was then the 12 heads of government of the European Union.
Right.
And so he didn't follow my advice, and he went instead for April the 9th, 1992.
Yes.
So I thought, oh my God, this is a mistake. So I wrote him a note and I said, you probably have a hung parliament with this date. And of course he did.
So Nesta, if we want to get in touch with you, where can we get in touch with you at?
Well, you can, yes, you can actually go to admin@nestawynellis.com, or you can go to my website, which is http://nestawynellis.com, or to Paris Production Services. And if you Google for Nesta Wyn Ellis, you will find all these links coming up, including my blog site, which is nesta-wyninparis.blogspot.com.
I wish you all the luck with all of your films and all of your projects.
Well, thank you. I think I need a holiday before I even think about it anymore.
Good luck to you.
Thank you so much, Peter.